Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The Great Replacement Theory, a classic. Who loves the Great Replacement Theory? It's an oldie but a goodie. I say that purely rhetorically, by the way. It's not good. It's very stupid. Kirsch, is that how you say the name? I don't fucking know. Whatever. Has now explicitly stated her belief in the white supremacist Great Replacement Theory. Ah, the classic. Here she is, openly stating her belief that politicians in the US and UK are assisting in a hostile demographic takeover while ranting about the construction of mosques in England. No! Not the fall of white Western civilization! The construction of a single mosque. Let's hear the arguments.
They're building like a 2.5 million pound mosque somewhere in like northern England that doesn't even have like a large Muslim population. And I was like, of course they are. Yeah, of course they are.
So we're talking about a 2.5 million pound mosque. I didn't know that the government of England was like completely broke. Listen, I know that I know that basically like England is London in a trench coat with like everything else basically being non-existent except for London. Otherwise completely a dead country. Thanks, austerity. In fact, if you want to talk about the real reason why the rest of England is poor, austerity politics. We love austerity. Let's go. If I do recall correctly, London is a very, very big banking center within Europe. I think that might be the reason why the UK might be pretty poor. And no, I do not think she's a part of Mythic. Biggest city in Europe, that's true. But damn, I can't believe that white Western civilization is falling because of a single mosque. Oh no.
I get increasingly angry when I see people who are just like, well, they're not doing anything illegal, so like you can't really be mad at them. It's like this.
I'm trying to like. How are you supposed to engage with this exactly? Like, because like nothing's being said here. Like, whoa, you live in a country of the rule with the rule of law, right? If they're not doing anything to sort of like break the law, that's totally fine. Who the fuck cares? Yeah, great question, Zane. Why are you mad? Again, this is all over the fucking building of a single mosque, and the building of a single mosque is assisting a hostile demographic takeover. But okay. Sure. What's the demographics of England? Demographics of the UK. Let's see. What is it? Let's see. What does Wikipedia have to say about it? The United Kingdom's population is predominantly white British. 76% of the population. Whoa. As of the 2021 census. But a single mosque is causing demographic replacement. Sure. But due to migration from Commonwealth nations, hey, remember all those fucking goddamn countries that England colonized? A bunch of them migrated to the homeland. Crazy. Britain has become ethnically diverse. The second and third largest non-white racial groups are Asian British at 8.6% of the population, followed by Black British people, followed at 3.71% of the population. But man, we're gonna complain about like Because what she's primarily complaining about here is the Syrian refugee crisis. So I guess I'm going to take a complete random fucking shot in the dark. A bunch of Syrians moved up north because it's probably less expensive to live up north, trying to look for some kind of work within the northern parts of England. And guess what? The city, or whatever the fuck, local government decided to build a mosque because they started receiving a lot of Arab migration because of the civil war that just concluded. Oh, by the way, the Syrian civil war just finished, okay? But guess what? Syria in general as a country still incredibly unstable. Given the fact that the interim government is still doing attacks within certain parts of the Syrian population, especially in the south on the Druze population, I believe. Because, HTS is, they're not great. Are they better than Assad? Remains to be seen. But they're not that good. So there might still be Syrian migration that's still happening to this fucking day. Because of, guess what? The civil war in Syria in general being an incredibly unstable country. But okay.
This is very clearly a hostile takeover. Like, we're experiencing it in the US via illegal immigration. They're experiencing it in the UK.
Immediate fucking halt right there. I'm going to ask you an immediate fucking question. Why do you think that there was a recent shift of migrants up to the US? Have you ever asked yourself that question there? Kershey? I can gladly explain. I've said this constantly all the time, but there was a coup attempt not that long ago under the Donald Trump presidency. That would have been about 5 years ago, 6 to 5 years ago, 5 to 6 years ago, done by Donald Trump. It failed miserably, and Trump slapped some of the harshest sanctions on Venezuela, collapsing their fucking economy and causing hyperinflation, which made a lot of people leave and migrate to the US seeking asylum. Because guess what? A lot of lawlessness started to break out in Venezuela because of the sanctions and the Maduro government not properly being able to deal with that. So a lot of people left the country to claim asylum in the United States, which you're allowed to do under international law. That pesky international law getting in the way of my conspiracy theory on hostile demographic takeover. But okay.
Via, like, the migrant crisis nonsense and refugees, which...
I already talked about the Syrian migrant crisis. Why it fucking happened. There was a civil war. That's why.
Potato, basically the same fucking thing. And it's like...
A civil war and fucking hyperinflation caused by dumb fuck salty sanctions are not the same fucking thing. You stupid fucking bitch. What are you fucking talking about? A civil war that was caused by extremely complicated geopolitical factors, not only because of, the invasion of Iraq, the rise of ISIS, Turkish involvement with the HTS and wanting to expel all Kurdish groups, Bashar al-Assad generally being a stupid fucking piece of shit for barrel bombing his own fucking goddamn civilian population with chlorine gas. But, yeah, just like you said, Zane, Venezuela got so fucked, RuneScape Gold was feeding families. There's a Vice documentary about that, about how Venezuelans do gold mining, like mining for gold, in order to get paid by, because, the same shit also happens in, WoW all the time. They get paid by people in the US to do gold farming for them. And that's what they use to try to put food on the table for their families. But I know the exact thing you're referencing there, Zane. It's that Vice documentary. Very interesting documentary.
Like, our politicians are assisting these people with...
In what way? Because they claim asylum and are granting the asylum rights? That's the immigration courts that are doing that, you fucking idiot. That's not the politicians assisting in a hostile demographic takeover. They claimed asylum. Their claim gets processed by the courts, and it gets approved. Because guess what? We adhere to international law. Whoa, what a novel concept.
With both demographic replacement as well as just making citizens' lives worse in general.
No, citizens' lives are worse in general because of neoliberalism. Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan implementing austerity measures, cutting away the social safety net. Of course, this was a process that was started primarily by them, but they are the fucking root causes for as to why your lives are getting worse. Wage stagnation, further cutting of public services, whether that be transportation, child care facilities, educational facilities, all in the name of tax cuts for the rich. That is why your life is generally getting worse. Now, let's not even talk about like food deserts being a thing, because that's apparently a fucking thing. Okay, I don't want to tap the glass, but Jesus fucking Christ, I'd love to dissipate this British colonizer Nazi loser. Let's not say that she's a Nazi. She's definitely a fucking dumbass who probably does not have any understanding at all of politics. Let's be honest. But no. The reason why your fucking lives are worse are because of two stupid white motherfuckers, Reagan and Thatcher, implementing 40 years of the destruction of Keynesian economics. If we all don't know what Keynesianism is, it's essentially the idea that the government should be able to pay for social services. This was established by the New Deal, the main catalyst for Keynesianism and the general economic policy and, the broader general economic policy exploding after the advent of World War II. Through, let's say, the NHS in Britain, the New Deal in the United States of America. This created the most economic prosperous times in the entire history of humanity. And you want to know what was catalyzed on that? Top marginal tax rates of 90% on the richest, most powerful people in the world at the time. They got fucking taxed to shit. And the government used that money to subsidize and pay for public services, which caused an economic boom of growth within America and the United Kingdom. That's what happened. And that all got fucking destroyed. Not all, mostly by Reagan and Thatcher. They're the ones who put the death nail in the coffin. But by general business clawing back everything else, crawling back what they lost through general sort of business-friendly administrations. Let's not even talk about like the damage that Nixon did.
We're changing the entire culture of these countries. It might not be a hostile
yeah, dude, because like I didn't even see like what the percentage of Muslims are in the UK. They're definitely causing a huge cultural shift within the United Kingdom. Yeah, man, totally. All because of one fucking mosque. I thought white Western civilization was like the most powerful thing on the planet, and a building of one fucking mosque is destroying that? Get the fuck out of here.
Takeover like you see in war. There's no guns and battleships and bombs, but it is still a hostile takeover. It is still going to change.
What is the percentage of fucking like Muslim people, of Arab people in the United Kingdom? Like what's the percentage? What is it? British mix, Asian British. So far in the other category, it's 2.2%. Wasn't Britain one of the main countries who accepted the least amount of refugees when the Syrian migrant crisis happened? We know that the Germans were the ones who accepted the most. And also, it makes sense that the British were probably the ones who accepted the least, because considering the fact that they're the ones who are the furthest away. But despite that, it's because they're fucking racist. Like you. You are a racist. But yeah, man. How many Syrian refugees did the UK accept? How many Syrian refugees in United Kingdom? How many? There were approximately 28,000 Syrian nationals residing in the United Kingdom in 2021. We're getting triggered over 28,000 people in a country with how many people in it? UK population, 68 million. And we're throwing a hissy fit over 28,000 people. What a huge demographic shift. Such replacement is happening. Sure, man.
These countries irreparably in the future. UK, it's almost all of Europe. I'm specifically speaking of the UK because of the mosque thing. We're noticing. And it's like, I made a tweet. I made a tweet talking about,
I want you to keep in mind, again, point that I'm going to be constantly reiterating. It's about one mosque. It's being built in northern England. One fucking mosque. And we're throwing a fucking hissy fit over that. Okay. Sure. Totally. It's the end of white Western civilization. The cradle of white Western civilization, the British Empire, is totally suffering under a crazy demographic shift. I'm curious. How many Pakistani migrants are there? Number of Pakistanis in the UK. How many are there? 1.6 million. Keep in mind why there's probably a lot there. You want to know why there's a lot there? Because Pakistan used to be a part of the British Empire. Crazy. So there's a bunch of Muslims in the country now. So they're building mosques to accommodate for them. Crazy. Who would have thought? Stupid Brits will also hide behind feminism to claim Muslims are the problem when British women face so much SA and domestic violence from white British men. It's the same shit in the United States. It's the same shit fucking everywhere. If you want to talk, like, because it's the idea behind the Muslim rape gang thing that was pushed by Tommy Robinson, which was a complete bunk. He just lied about it. Same shit that got Jimmy the Giant into the alt-right pipeline, by the way, because, you know, free speech and whatnot. When it was just not true. It was complete bunk from the beginning. It was just a lie. It was nonsense. But, you know, sure, man. The biggest problem are the, the Syrian refugee crisis. The 28,000 Syrians. At this point, I don't trust a British white man who gives him I don't trust a British white man until he gives me a reason to trust. Like Jimmy, call it racism. I don't care. Can't believe Boy Meets Minnie would be racist against his old colonial masters. I can't believe that. What an inconceivable thing. But yeah, man. Because again, she mentioned the primary reason she was talking about the total demographic shift that was happening in the United Kingdom was because of the Syrian refugee crisis. Yeah. The 28,000 fucking Syrian refugees that came up to Britain are totally causing a huge demographic shift within England. When there's 1.6 million Pakistanis that are living there because of, guess what? Oh, their empire having control of that territory like 50 years ago. Crazy. I'm being a little hyperbolic when I say 50 years ago. It was more like 80 years ago. Tomato, tomato. Fucking complete, just utter nonsense.